Folks, we have a genuinely viral moment from a brand, and who would be surprised that it would be Starbucks at the holiday season here, the company that has taken so much flack for simple drink receptacles that it provides, the infamous red cup holiday backlash thing. You remember that probably. If you don't, God bless your soul, because that was crazy and not something any of us want to remember too much. And now they're back with another drink receptacle controversy. And people apparently really care about the things they drink their Starbucks coffee out of. And if you are wondering what in the heck is going on, why did it happen this way, and can I learn anything about it for my own business, I have good news. You can, and you can do this very thing for your brand. Obviously, if you're not a billion-dollar company like Starbucks, it might not be quite as much of an uproar, but you can mimic and mirror this strategy for your business. Although I highly encourage you to do it the healthy way, not the slightly manipulative, unhealthy, and sort of desperate way that Starbucks has done this whole bear thing. What do I mean? Well, this is what we call a velvet rope strategy. It is exactly like it sounds. It puts a velvet rope around your product or service, and that, of course, as you would see at a club, a velvet rope makes people want to get in. Oh, something's back there. If there's a velvet rope around it that is exclusive, or I would feel more of my, better about my status if I'm in there. That is what this strategy is all about. It is something that you can do naturally or artificially, but you can do it with your product or service or your brand in general. And it just goes to show you that this Starbucks Honey Bear glass cup thing is, not completely random. They did this on purpose. They're never going to really claim that. They've already come out and said, well, we were really surprised by the demand, which is just not true. This companies this big have all kinds of data that tell them exactly what's going to happen as much as you can with something like this. There's a reason why they only gave a couple of these to some stores, not 200, but 2 glass cups in a store that, had people lining up out of it. They knew this was coming, and yet they did this on purpose. Why? Because of the velvet rope strategy. What does the velvet rope strategy do? It creates that demand. It artificially inflates it. And the goal is to get the conversation around your brand louder. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad goal for your business. No matter what kind of business that you have, you want your brand conversation to be louder, especially around the holidays. If you've got, Black Friday sales coming up, if you've got things that you're pushing that are new products around certain periods of time, it's great to increase that conversation. Even some of the backlash, even some of the negative complaints, I didn't get that bear in time. I got there at 4:30 and they were out by the time I got to the door. Things like that. The people who are excluded from velvet rope strategies tend to be the loudest about the whole thing anyway. And of course, that's going to amplify your brand. So something you can take into account. Again, please do it the healthy way, not the toxic way. I think Starbucks kind of did it the toxic way. But if you want to do it, here's how. First step, create something people actually want. Ask if, if you didn't have this as an exclusive or a limited item, would they still want it? If you have a yes, then you have an idea that you can craft with a velvet rope to increase demand and conversation. This could be as simple as a members only section of your website. It could be a limited edition of your best product. These are things that can be very simple like that, or they can be as elaborate as a glass honey bear that you can't even bring in for refills. I mean, whatever you want it to be. If it's something that your fans and your audience want or would want, if it were not exclusive, you can make it exclusive, increase that demand. You want to kind of up the urgency, get them excited about not just the product, but it then becomes a conversation about how exciting your brand is because you're doing something unique. I recommend this strategy in certain circumstances, but it's all about knowing your fans. It's all about knowing why you exist. It's all about knowing your brand story. This is how your brand story becomes a system of growth, and that's what I do for brands. So if you've got some questions about this, you want to try to implement something like this, or if you want to, understand your why, your story about what would anchor something like this in a healthy way, just comment on this video. I'm also leaving in the caption my meeting link. Would love to talk to you. You can chat for 15 minutes and kind of answer some of these questions for you. I'll never hold you to 15 minutes either. We can talk as long as you want. I'm a nerd about marketing. So if you have something that people want, that's great, and that you think people will want. If it were not exclusive, you want to make it exclusive. Your next step would be to artificially restrict access to it. Okay, so like Starbucks only giving 2 of their glasses to a store instead of what they should have done, which is at least 20 or 2 dozen. You could do something like, instead of ordering 5,000 units, you could order 500. You can wait list, that sort of thing. However, the next step would be, I would drop it without warning. Starbucks seemingly did this. No build up, no countdown clocks. Those can be cool. Launches can be cool, but they're not as much of a velvet rope strategy as dropping the urgency out there and just saying, this is around for 24 hours. It's kind of works like a flash sale. I wouldn't call a flash sale a velvet rope strategy, but it is similar in the fact that there's an urgency to it. We're going to offer this here. It's a limited time. There's only so many made, that kind of thing. But drop it with 0 warning, up that urgency. If it matches that artificially restricted access and that, matches your brand story, matches something your audience would actually want, then you can drop it without warning, and that will help. And the final step really is just to let FOMO do the rest. I mean, fear of missing out is a powerful motivator for a lot of people. There's literally a psychological, biological reason why you've got people fighting in Starbucks locations across the country over a glass bear. There's a reason to that, and it's a psychological need. We feel like our status is elevated. We're seeing what other people have, and we attribute a value to it. In fact, there's several psychological factors. One of them being scarcity bias. That's when something is rare, our brains, automatically assign a higher value to it. Even if it's a $30 glass cup, we feel like because there's less of it and there's less chance to own it, then we kind of attribute a higher value to it naturally. This is biological, like a psychological thing going on. Social proof is another reason, is another psychological trigger that's firing within all this, making people fight in Starbucks. When we see other people desperate for something, we assume it must be valuable, and so therefore we get desperate for it sometimes. We see like, all those people can't be wrong about this thing, right? I mean, it's somewhat illogical here. I mean, and that's kind of what a velvet rope strategy is playing with. It's keeping things that are, should be logical from making any sense, and playing with that psychological trigger. One of the other psychological triggers would be status signaling. Owning this barista cup signals, I'm on the inside. I was there. I was fast enough. I know what's hot, and I got there before anybody else. Haha. It's a flex. And the kicker is, again, once you're outside of that, and you're not able to status signal like that, you start becoming an evangelist naturally, because you start talking about it. You start saying, dang, I missed out on the cup. I didn't get it when somebody else did. My friend got it. I'm really jealous. People that feel this way post about it online. They complain about it. They create TikToks and all that stuff. And that just creates basically free advertising. So all that to say, you can employ this velvet rope strategy, and it doesn't have to be in this sort of desperate, toxic way that Starbucks kind of has done, whether intentionally or not. You can make that judgment for yourself. But think about something that you have that your audience does want, anything you're about to launch, anything that's been successful that you could create a different version of it, a limited edition version of, and you can create this FOMO around your brand and increase the conversation. So if you want a Starbucks glass bear moment, that's the way to do it. Create your own velvet rope strategy. If you'd like to talk more about it, I am a branding strategist, have been so, doing this for brands for over a dozen years now, and I would love to talk with you. Even just for 15 minutes, we could do a lot of damage in a good way for your brand in 15 minutes. So click the link in the post about this video, and I'll be glad to talk with you, and would love to just take some swings for you with your brand, because again, I'm a marketing nerd and I love it. So hope this has been helpful. Hope to talk to you soon. Follow, like, all that stuff. I got more tips like this out the wazoo. Thanks, and good luck growing your brand.